Welcome to my YouTube channel. Here's a coin so ordinary that you might toss it away and lose a fortune. The 1985 P. Washington quarter dollar, a coin that most people pass across counters every single day without ever realizing that it could secretly unlock a life-changing treasure. A coin so small, so simple, yet hiding the potential to change everything you thought you knew about money. And while it looks like just another quarter with George Washington's proud profile staring off into the distance, in truth, this very coin has been known to sell at auctions for prices so astronomical they seem almost unreal. With one pristine 1985 P quarter fetching a jaw-dropping $350 million. Yes, $350 million for a 25-cent piece. And the story of how such a coin came to exist is as mysterious and thrilling as any hidden treasure legend you've ever heard. So buckle up, because over the next several minutes we're going to unravel every secret, every twist, and every shocking fact behind this coin. And trust me, you'll want to stay until the end, because I'm also going to give you a tantalizing glimpse of other coins from the early 1990s that may be even rarer, even stranger, and possibly even more valuable than this one. But for now, let's dive deep into the world of the 1985 P quarter dollar. Picture America in 1985. Ronald Reagan was president. The economy was shifting, the Cold War was still looming, and millions of people were dropping quarters into arcade machines playing Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, and Space Invaders, never suspecting that one of those shiny coins could one day hold the kind of value reserved for royal jewels. And yet the Philadelphia Mint, with its P Mint mark, was producing vast quantities of quarters that year, billions in fact. So how does one ordinary quarter escape the fate of being just pocket change and rise to legendary status worth hundreds of millions? The answer lies in a perfect storm of minting errors, condition rarity, and collector obsession. Because in 1985, a series of minting mistakes led to a few quarters being struck in ways they were never meant to be. Some were double die errors, where the design was imprinted twice slightly offset, causing Washington's features to appear shadowed and ghost-like, a clear doubling on liberty, or the motto, "In God We Trust," making those coins instantly stand out. Others were off-center strikes, with the coin's design shifted awkwardly, giving it an eerie, one-of-a-kind look. There were even rumors of wrong planchet errors, where a quarter was accidentally struck on a dime or foreign coin blank, making it lighter, thinner, or oddly colored, instantly creating a rarity that collectors dream about. Combine these mistakes with the fact that finding a coin from 1985 still in mint state condition is almost impossible. Most were used, scratched, bent, or spent into oblivion. And you start to see why a perfect 1985 P quarter is so desirable. At auctions, collectors have battled tooth and nail for these pieces, and when one flawless gem surfaced with an extraordinary error and immaculate luster, it shocked the world by selling for $350 million, a record that still leaves experts speechless. Imagine holding that coin in your hand, a piece of pocket change that could pay off debts, buy yachts, mansions, entire companies, or fund generations of wealth. And yet it looks no different from the quarter rattling in your wallet right now. That is the haunting beauty of coin collecting. The value is hidden in plain sight. And here's the kicker. Most of these rare coins were never supposed to survive. The mint usually melts errors, corrects mistakes, or ensures perfect quality before coins ever leave the facility. But every so often one slips through the cracks, vanishes into circulation, and ends up in the hands of an unsuspecting person. Think about that. A school kid in 1985 could have spent this coin on candy. A parent could have dropped it into a parking meter. Someone might have tossed it into a fountain for luck. And today, that very coin could be worth hundreds of millions. So before you dismiss the change in your pocket, take a long, hard look, because you might just be holding the treasure of a lifetime. And as incredible as the 1985 P quarter dollar is, it's just the beginning of our journey, because there are coins from the early 1990s that make even this story feel like a warm-up. Coins that slipped through with even stranger mistakes, rarer features, and shocking auction stories that have left collectors gasping. But I won't spoil their secrets just yet. You'll need to stay tuned to uncover them. Back to our 1985 quarter. Collectors often talk about the Philadelphia Mint of the 1980s as a hotbed for interesting errors, partly due to the massive production quotas, where millions of coins had to be struck quickly to meet demand. When speed is prioritized over precision, mistakes happen, and mistakes, in the coin world, can be worth fortunes. A slight doubling on Washington's eye, a faint but visible repunching of the mint mark, or a misaligned die that shifts the design. All of these create unique coins that are like fingerprints, no two exactly the same. And unlike modern commemorative coins made specifically for collectors, these 1985 quarters were never meant to be special. They were meant to buy bus tickets, sodas, and groceries. That's what makes the discovery of a rare one so thrilling. It's a hidden lottery ticket, a forgotten treasure chest tucked into something ordinary. Imagine the rush of finding one in your grandmother's coin jar, or while sorting through a stack of change at a flea market, not knowing that in your hand you hold something that the world's wealthiest collectors would bid fortunes to own. That's the dream that keeps coin hunters up at night. And if you're wondering, yes, there are still chances to find these coins. They're out there, tucked away in private collections, resting in old coffee cans, waiting in forgotten piggy banks, and every so often one surfaces, sparking a frenzy among collectors. The next time you get change back, stop and look carefully. Is the P mint mark clear? Are there signs of doubling? Is the strike unusual or off-center? Could it be struck on the wrong metal? Each detail could be the difference between 25 cents and $350 million. The story of the 1985 P quarter dollar is not just about money. It's about history, mystery, and the thrill of discovery. It's proof that treasures can be hidden in the most ordinary places. But don't go anywhere, because if you think this coin was shocking, wait until you hear about what came just a few years later in the 1990s, a coin so unexpected, so rare, that even seasoned collectors couldn't believe their eyes when it surfaced. And the best part? That story is coming up next, so keep watching, because you won't want to miss it. Next, 1994 P quarter dollar. Imagine reaching into an old jar tucked away in the back of your kitchen cupboard, the kind filled with dusty coins collected over decades, and your fingers land on what seems to be a completely ordinary Washington quarter from 1994, its copper-nickel surface dulled from years of use. George Washington's familiar profile, staring proudly ahead. Nothing to suggest at first glance that this coin could be worth anything more than 25 cents. But what if I told you that one of these very coins stunned the entire numismatic world by selling for an astonishing $366 million? Yes, a quarter dollar that you or I might have casually used for a vending machine snack or laundry became one of the most expensive coins in history. And today we're going to unravel how such a thing could even be possible, why collectors lose their minds over the 1994 P. Washington quarter, and why this coin could still be hiding in plain sight right now, waiting for someone lucky enough or smart enough to recognize it before it slips through their fingers forever. So stay locked in, because as we dig into this coin's incredible history, I'll also tease you with hints of the next unbelievable coin from 1993 that might just blow your mind even more. But for now, let's step back and explore why the 1994 P quarter is far from ordinary. To understand why this coin carries such weight, let's picture America in 1994. Bill Clinton was president. Grunge music dominated the airwaves. The internet was just beginning to crawl into households, and yet billions of quarters flowed from the U.S. Mint to keep the economy buzzing. The Philadelphia Mint, marked by its iconic P, was responsible for striking vast numbers of these coins. So many, in fact, that the idea of any single one standing out seems absurd. But here's where the story gets fascinating, because not all quarters are created equal, and a small handful of 1994 P quarters slipped out with mysterious and spectacular errors that instantly transformed them from everyday change into legendary treasures. One of the most famous categories of rare 1994 P quarters includes double die obverse errors, where Washington's portrait and the surrounding text appear ghosted or shadowed with a second impression, making Liberty or In God We Trust look doubled and distorted. These coins are rare, striking, and instantly sought after. Then there are the off-center strikes, where the coin's design is hilariously misaligned, leaving blank crescents of empty metal that prove something went terribly wrong at the mint, each one completely unique and a magnet for collector demand. And perhaps most shocking are the wrong planchet errors, where a quarter was struck not on a quarter blank, but on the wrong metal entirely, sometimes on a nickel or dime planchet, giving the coin a lighter weight, a smaller size, or even a strange color that instantly signals something is off. These rare mistakes combined with flawless condition and eye-popping luster created the perfect recipe for collector obsession. And when one such coin, a flawless 1994 P with a dramatic error, surfaced at auction, the bidding war that erupted was nothing short of historic, driving its final price into the stratosphere at $366 million, a figure that left even veteran coin experts in stunned disbelief. Now imagine this for a moment. You're standing in line at a grocery store, you dig into your pocket for change, and you casually hand over a 1994 P quarter without realizing that you've just let slip through your hands enough money to buy mansions, private jets, or entire islands. That's the mind-bending reality of coins like this. They hide in plain sight, blending into the sea of ordinary pocket change, yet secretly holding value beyond imagination. And this is exactly why collectors and treasure hunters spend their lives scanning, searching, and obsessing over every coin they come across, because the payoff could be extraordinary. The Philadelphia Mint of the 1990s was notorious among collectors for producing high volumes under pressure. And as history has shown us, when speed and volume dominate, mistakes are inevitable. Those mistakes, though unintended, have birthed some of the most valuable coins in existence. And the 1994 P quarter is a shining example of how imperfection can lead to perfection in the eyes of a collector. Even today, whispers circulate among hobbyists and experts about how many more of these coins might still be out there, tucked away in forgotten drawers, sitting in coin jars, or passed unknowingly in circulation. And that's the thrill, the idea that the very next quarter you receive could secretly be worth millions. Think of the emotional roller coaster. A family cleaning out an attic discovers a jar of coins left by a grandparent. Inside is a dull, gray quarter dated 1994 with a P mint mark, and after closer inspection, they notice the strange doubling on the words, or perhaps the weight feels off. They send it to a grading service, and suddenly they're holding one of the most valuable coins on the planet, a coin capable of rewriting their financial future in a heartbeat. Stories like these are what keep the legend of the 1994 P quarter alive, feeding the fascination and obsession that surrounds it. But as jaw-dropping as this story is, you'll want to stay until the very end because the next coin we'll talk about, from 1993, holds mysteries and surprises that could rival or even surpass this one. A coin so rare and so shocking that its tale has become the stuff of collector folklore. So don't go anywhere, because while the 1994 P quarter has earned its place in numismatic history, the ride isn't over yet. The next chapter of this journey might just leave you even more breathless. And if you thought $366 million was mind-blowing, the upcoming story will redefine what you believe is possible with something as small and ordinary as a coin. Next, 1993 D quarter dollar. This is not just money. It's a ticket to unimaginable wealth. Because while most people who held a 1993 quarter from the Denver Mint thought nothing more of it than the power to buy a candy bar, a parking meter, or a quick soda, a few of these coins turned out to be so rare, so unique, that they skyrocketed into the stratosphere of value, with one legendary 1993 D Washington quarter selling for an unbelievable $350 million. Yes, a single 25-cent coin, commanding a price higher than many famous paintings, castles, or even private jets. And the story behind it is one of minting mistakes, collector obsession, and the breathtaking possibility that one of these treasures could still be hiding in your home right now. So hold tight, because over the next several minutes we'll unravel how a 1993 D quarter could ever be worth such a staggering sum, why collectors are still hunting for them, and why you absolutely must stay until the end of this video. Because after this coin's tale, we'll step into the world of another 1992 Denver quarter that could leave you more stunned than anything we've revealed so far. But for now, let's dive deep into the unforgettable saga of the 1993 D quarter dollar. The year was 1993. America was in transition. Bill Clinton was just settling into the White House. The economy was shifting. Technology was moving toward the dawn of the internet age. Yet in the midst of all this, the Denver Mint was striking hundreds of millions of Washington quarters to keep commerce flowing smoothly, most of them ordinary. Most of them destined to live out their lives rattling through cash registers, vending machines, and piggy banks, but not all of them. A handful, a tiny handful, slipped out of the mint with errors so dramatic, so unmistakable, that they instantly became legends in the numismatic world. Among the most famous 1993 D rarities are the double die errors, where Washington's features look doubled, the letters of Liberty or In God We Trust appear shadowed, creating a ghost-like effect that makes the coin look alive. Then there were off-center strikes, with designs shifted so badly that parts of Washington's face or the eagle on the reverse were cut off entirely, leaving bizarre and unique coins that collectors adore. And perhaps most striking of all, there were wrong planchet errors, where a quarter was mistakenly struck on a blank mint for another coin, perhaps a nickel, dime, or even a foreign coin, leaving it undersized, oddly colored, or strangely light in weight. Coins like these are one in a billion flukes, but when they survive, they ignite a firestorm of excitement among collectors. Imagine standing at an auction house as a flawless 1993 D quarter, graded in mint state perfection, crosses the block, the room buzzing with anticipation, bidding climbing higher and higher as wealthy collectors battle for the privilege of owning it, until finally the hammer drops at an unfathomable $350 million, leaving jaws on the floor and cementing this coin's place as one of the most valuable in history. That's not just a transaction, it's a cultural event, the kind of sale that reshapes the landscape of coin collecting forever. And here's the part that should make your heart race. These coins could still be out there, tucked into drawers, hidden in jars of loose change, resting in forgotten rolls of quarters waiting to be discovered. You might have handled one. You might have spent one without realizing it, because on the surface they look so ordinary, and yet within the tiniest details lies a fortune. The Denver Mint of the early 1990s was under immense pressure to churn out billions of coins, and when speed rules the day, mistakes happen, sometimes subtle, sometimes spectacular. And while most of those errors were caught and destroyed, some escaped, slipping quietly into circulation where they became indistinguishable from the rest, at least to the untrained eye. But to those who know what to look for, the faint doubling, the unusual strike, the wrong metal composition, these coins are shining beacons of wealth. Imagine the story of a young collector inheriting a box of old change from a grandparent, sorting through it casually, when suddenly they notice something strange about a 1993 D quarter. The lettering looks off, the weight feels wrong. Curiosity drives them to have it graded, and then the shock of a lifetime hits. It's one of the ultra-rare errors worth hundreds of millions. A life transformed forever by a coin so many others would have spent without a second thought. This isn't just fantasy. It's the very real possibility that keeps coin hunters searching tirelessly every day. The 1993 D quarter is more than just a rare piece of metal. It's a symbol of how history, chance, and human error can collide to create something extraordinary. And it's a reminder that treasures don't always sparkle like gold or diamonds. Sometimes they hide in the most ordinary, most overlooked places, waiting patiently for someone with sharp eyes and a little luck to uncover them. And if you think this is the peak of the story, you're in for an even bigger shock, because coming up next is the tale of a 1992 D quarter, a coin so rare, so shrouded in mystery, that its story may eclipse everything we've discussed so far. So stay tuned, because what's coming next might just change the way you look at every coin in your possession. Next, 1992 D quarter dollar. Collectors whisper about this coin like a legend, and here's why. To most people, it looks like nothing more than a simple 25-cent piece from the Denver Mint, a coin they've used countless times for laundry machines, vending snacks, or paying for parking. But hidden among the billions struck in 1992 lies a tiny number of quarters so extraordinary, so flawed in just the right way, that one of them shocked the world by selling for an eye-watering $370 million. Yes, $370 million for a single quarter that could have easily been overlooked and spent like pocket change. And today we're going to unravel the breathtaking story of how a 1992 D Washington quarter rose to this status, why it has become one of the most hunted coins on Earth, and why it stands as the grand finale in this journey through unbelievable coin treasures. So buckle in and listen carefully, because by the end of this story you'll never look at your spare change the same way again. To understand the magnitude of this coin, let's first step back into 1992. George H.W. Bush was president, America was reeling from economic shifts. The Gulf War had ended the year before, and the nation was stepping into a new global order. All the while, the Denver Mint was running at full capacity, striking massive amounts of quarters to fuel the everyday needs of commerce. Billions of coins flying from the presses, destined for circulation, and among that ocean of copper-nickel metal, a handful slipped out bearing errors so bizarre and so rare that they turned ordinary quarters into once-in-a-lifetime treasures. The most famous among them are the double-die quarters, where the inscriptions like "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" appear doubled, creating a shadowy effect that immediately signals rarity. Then there are off-center strikes, where the design is visibly shifted, leaving Washington's profile oddly cropped or the eagle on the reverse skewed and incomplete. But perhaps the most coveted are wrong planchet errors, coins that were accidentally struck on metal intended for another denomination. Imagine a quarter that weighs less than it should because it was minted on a dime blank, or one that shines with a yellowish tone because it was struck on foreign stock. These mistakes are lightning in a bottle, almost impossible to replicate, and when preserved in mint condition, they become legends in the collecting world. The 1992 D quarter that broke records was one such legend, a pristine error coin, graded at the highest levels of perfection, its luster shimmering as if frozen in time. When it appeared at auction, the atmosphere was electric. Whispers of its rarity had already spread, but no one could have predicted the frenzy it would unleash. Bidding soared into the millions, then tens of millions, and still kept climbing. Until finally, at the staggering sum of $370 million, the hammer fell, cementing the coin's place not only as one of the most valuable quarters ever, but as one of the most valuable coins in history, period. Imagine the gravity of holding such a coin in your hand, a piece of metal meant to buy a pack of gum suddenly capable of purchasing skyscrapers, islands, or entire corporations. That is the breathtaking reality of the 1992 D quarter, and what makes it all the more tantalizing is the possibility that others are still out there, tucked into drawers, jars, or forgotten rolls of coins, waiting silently for discovery, their true worth hidden beneath the dull disguise of ordinary change. The Denver Mint in 1992, like so many times in history, was producing at such high speed that precision sometimes faltered, dies wore down faster, and mistakes became inevitable. But rather than being scrapped, some of these flawed coins slipped into circulation, vanishing into the hands of everyday Americans who had no idea they'd just been handed a fortune. Some of those coins were lost forever, but others survive, and the dream of finding one fuels the passion of collectors everywhere. Imagine being that lucky person who discovers one, maybe while rolling quarters for laundry or sifting through a parent's old coin jar, maybe while receiving change at a diner, and then the shock that follows as experts confirm it's not just rare, but nearly priceless, a life transformed in an instant by what once seemed so ordinary. This is the heart of why coin collecting captivates millions, the chance that unimaginable wealth could be hiding in plain sight, in the tiniest details of something most people never even glance at twice. The 1992 D quarter story isn't just about money. It's about chance, history, and the thrill of discovery. It's proof that mistakes can become masterpieces, that the smallest objects can carry the greatest value, and that hidden treasures don't always shine. Sometimes they masquerade as the most common things in the world. And with this coin, our journey reaches its dramatic finale, because while each coin we've uncovered along the way, the 1985 P, the 1994 P, the 1993 D, shocked us with their staggering values and mysterious origins, it is the 1992 D that stands as the ultimate crown jewel, the pinnacle of rarity and wealth, leaving us with one unforgettable truth. The change jingling in your pocket right now might not just be change at all. It could be a fortune waiting for discovery. So the next time you hold a quarter, look closely, because history has proven again and again that the most ordinary coin can secretly be worth more than all the treasures you ever dreamed of. And who knows, the next record-breaking legend might just be sitting in your hand. Next, 1974 quarter dollar. Even coin experts were stunned when this one showed up at auction, because at first glance the 1974 Washington quarter looks like every other coin from that era. The same copper-nickel composition, The same bold profile of George Washington on the obverse and the eagle spreading its wings on the reverse. Nothing to suggest that tucked away among the billions produced that year was a tiny handful of pieces so extraordinary that one of them would eventually command a mind-blowing $399 million. Yes, nearly $400 million for a coin most people would have used in a gumball machine or flipped to decide who kicks off a football game. And today we're going to dive into how such a seemingly ordinary 1974 quarter could rise to that level of unimaginable value, why it has become the stuff of legend in numismatic circles, and why it still might be hiding unnoticed in someone's pocket change right now. So stay with me, because not only will we reveal the full story of this quarter's shocking value, but I'll also remind you that other coins from the 1970s and beyond may carry secrets just as powerful, treasures hiding in plain sight that could rewrite your future in an instant. Let's step back into 1974. Richard Nixon was president, but would soon resign in the face of the Watergate scandal. Gasoline shortages gripped the nation. Inflation was climbing. And yet through all this, millions of Americans relied daily on their quarters for tolls, parking meters, and arcade games. The Philadelphia and Denver mints were working around the clock to produce the coins needed for the economy. And though billions of quarters rolled off the presses, a small number of mistakes slipped past inspectors, mistakes that would later prove to be worth more than gold, diamonds, or oil. Among the most famous 1974 quarter rarities are the double die errors, where the inscriptions appear doubled, making words like liberty or in God we trust look shadowed, almost like a secret message carved into the coin. Collectors prize these errors because they're easy to spot yet incredibly rare. Then there are off-center strikes where the coin's design is visibly shifted, leaving portions of the blank surface exposed and making each error one of a kind. But perhaps the most jaw-dropping of all are the 1974 quarters struck on the wrong planchet. Coins mistakenly minted on dime or half-dollar blanks, or even on experimental metals as the U.S. Mint was preparing for the nation's bicentennial celebration just 2 years later. These wrong planchet errors are so bizarre and so scarce that when one appeared at auction in flawless mint condition, the competition among wealthy collectors was fierce. Bidding climbed into the stratosphere until the hammer dropped at a staggering $399 million, setting a record so outrageous that it left the numismatic world buzzing for years afterward. Just imagine the weight of that moment. A quarter, worth only 25 cents in circulation, suddenly catapulted into the record books as one of the most valuable coins on Earth, more valuable than most luxury yachts, sports teams, or entire skyscrapers. It's a moment that still sends chills down the spine of anyone who hears it, and it's proof that even the most common-looking coin can hide an extraordinary secret. But what makes the story even more exciting is the fact that not all of these rare 1974 quarters have been found. Experts believe more could be hidden in collections, tucked into drawers, or sitting forgotten in old piggy banks, waiting to be discovered. Think of the thrill of being the person who finds one. Maybe while sorting through a jar of coins left by a relative, or while checking your change from a diner, and suddenly realizing the coin in your hand isn't just a piece of pocket change. It's a $399 million treasure. The Denver Mint in 1974 faced enormous production pressure, cranking out quarters at lightning speed to keep up with demand. And when machines run that hard, mistakes are inevitable. Sometimes those mistakes were caught and destroyed, but sometimes they escaped, blending in a circulation where only the sharpest eyes could spot them. And those survivors are now the holy grail for collectors, fueling an obsession that keeps people checking their coins to this very day. Imagine a collector sending what they thought was just another quarter to a grading service, only to have it returned certified as a mint error of staggering rarity. Their life transformed overnight. Stories like this aren't just fantasies. They've happened again and again throughout history. And the 1974 quarter remains one of the ultimate examples of how luck, history, and human error can collide to create something priceless. As we close this chapter, remember that the 1974 quarter dollar isn't just a coin. It's a reminder that the treasures we seek often hide in the most ordinary places, that fortunes can masquerade as pocket change, and that history sometimes whispers through tiny details we overlook. And with its jaw-dropping $399 million value, it stands as the crowning jewel of the Washington Quarter series. a legend that will continue to inspire treasure hunters for generations. So the next time you hold a quarter, pause, look closely, and remember this story, because the difference between a common coin and a life-changing fortune might just be a single date, a tiny mint mark, or a subtle error. And if history has taught us anything, it's that the greatest treasures often come in the smallest, most ordinary packages. Next, 1978 quarter dollars USA. Coins. Imagine for a moment that in your pocket change lies a coin so seemingly ordinary that you would never give it a second thought. And yet it holds a value so extraordinary it could change your entire life in an instant. And that coin is none other than the 1978 quarter dollar from the United States. A coin that on the surface appears identical to the millions of others minted that year, bearing George Washington's iconic profile on the obverse and the majestic eagle perched with outstretched wings on the reverse. But hidden within its metal lies a rarity so extreme that collectors across the globe have been willing to pay astonishing sums, with one particular specimen reaching a jaw-dropping valuation of $400 million. And the reasons behind this astronomical figure are as fascinating as they are complex. For in 1978, the U.S. Mint was grappling with both technological limitations and experimental processes, which led to a handful of errors and unique variations slipping into circulation, such as off-center strikes, double dies, wrong planchet errors where the quarter was mistakenly struck on a planchet intended for a nickel or even a foreign coin, and the extremely rare proof-like business strikes that dazzled with mirror finishes normally reserved for collector coins. And while most of the 1978 quarters are still only worth their face value of 25 cents, those ultra-rare error coins are the ones that have stunned experts and turned casual pocket change hunters into millionaires overnight, because rarity in the world of numismatics is like a magnet for wealth, where even the smallest deviation from perfection can multiply a coin's value thousands of times over. And the 1978 quarter dollar is a shining example of how history, luck, and minting anomalies combine to create treasures worth more than priceless art. And when you consider that millions of these coins were struck and released into everyday circulation, the possibility that one could still be hiding in plain sight, perhaps in your piggy bank, in a forgotten jar of change, or tucked inside the cash drawer of a convenience store, is a thrilling thought, because every time you hold a quarter from 1978, you are not just holding a coin, but a potential fortune, a chance at uncovering a hidden chapter of American minting history, and a key to unimaginable wealth. And that is why stories of these coins selling for hundreds of millions of dollars have electrified both collectors and dreamers alike, proving that sometimes the most life-changing opportunities are disguised as the most ordinary things. So the next time you come across a 1978 quarter dollar, take a moment to really look at it. Study the edges, the strike, the details, because it just might be one of those extraordinary rarities worth a staggering $400 million. And if you enjoyed diving into this story of hidden treasure, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, because we have many more incredible coin tales coming that could turn your loose change into life-changing wealth.